Namaskar and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sattology Debunking Mythology. Sattology means science of truth, a study of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which means science or study of fake lie or imagination. Sattology builds your identity, mythology reduces your identity. Like, for example, in the Gold, Glory, and God, I proved with facts and references and pictures that Esther is Durga, which is worshipped as Durga in India. And also, Durga is also known for giving, when you pray to her with that mood, she also gives children. Esther also gives the children. And that's why most of the modern Abrahamic festivals, particularly in Christianism, are coming derived from the old cultures. And so Easter was egg hunt is actually not an egg hunt. It's actually prayers for fertility. But anyway, I proved that in my book, and you guys saw it, many of them. And I have very, very special guest today, who we are going to continue our discussion. You've seen him many times, you loved him, and today we are going to talk about the forms of mantra, different forms of mantra. So without delay, let us welcome His Holiness Muktanand Puri. Yeah. Jai Shri Ram Maharaj.
Jai Shri Ram.
So one of the things which comes in the mind and people really loved is from mantra to moksha, different series we are having. And mantra is a big fashion also. Therefore, people pay a lot of money to get a mantra. But is that a right way to do it?
Oh, actually, I don't know what to say. But what is happening is that there is a certain amount of commercialization take place. I observed that if you give people something for free, they tend to, in today's world, they tend to take it rather casually. On the other hand, making it highly commercial also is not a very good thing to do, because this knowledge was meant to be distributed to everybody. The tradition in the ancient India was that they would come to the guru, stay with them, serve them, and learn from them. In today's world, everything is changed, so there is going to be some changes. Looking at that, I think when I give mantra, I ask people make a donation. I don't ask for anything, but sometimes people want to know how much to recommend and all that. So there is maybe some recommendation at most, but beyond that, there has been no price so far, as I've been giving in different places. So I can't say, but America is America. So I really don't know what to say.
Yeah, in the US, it's a big fashion now to give money and then receive a mantra and those kind of things are there. Anyway, the problem with most of the us, including me now, as Americans, is that we change everything. That is a big problem for us also, and that we should not change anything. We should continue. That is not there. The culture is not there. Uh, Coming to the forms of mantra, different forms of mantra. We discussed in detail about different types of chanting and other things. So, what are the different forms according to you for the mantra?
It's a whole list of different things. We start with the most basic. Basically, when we talk about the mantras, there's this Om, and we have, apart from that, Aham words. So from Om, there is a system how the mantras have originated. So these alphabets which are there in the Sanskrit language, these are known as Akshar. Akshar means that which is indestructible. So firstly, these mantras which are there, they are divided into different kalas, what is called kalas. So actually, the word kala is a technical word used in different places having different meaning. But generally speaking, when we talk about the word kala, when we speak of the waning and waxing moon, each time the moon waxes or wanes, there is each movement is known as a kala. So technically, when you go from it's a 15-day cycle, the last day being either it's Purnima, which is a full moon, or it's the no moon, and that whole cycle takes about 15 days. Usually, beyond that, they say there is a 16th kala, which is perfection, which is a complete completion, which is beyond that. And then sometimes one will find they say there is a further 17th kala, which is even beyond all that. So there is an explanation for that, which is often used in Kashmir Shaivism and other places. Even in Shaktopasana, we find such explanations. So here, when the akshar is taken, the alphabet of Sanskrit is taken, it is divided into 5 different groups. This first is known as the Shodash Kala, which is the Shiv. There are Shodash Shiv Kalas, 16 Shiv Kalas. These are generally the vowels of the Sanskrit language. There are 2 additional Reem Reem and Leem Reem, which are added to it, which make them 16. Otherwise, they are 12. A, A, I, U, O, A, I, O, A, Anga, and Leem Reem and Reem Reem. So that is the addition of to that. Then you have 10 Brahm Kalas, 10 Vishnu Kalas, 10 Rudra Kalas, and Chaturi Ishwar Kalas. So that way, in total, these become 50 Kalas which are there, in which the mantras are divided. Now, these, when you look at the alphabet, for example, if we take the alphabet B, so it's when it's like a mantra, then it will become with a bindu on top of that, which makes it bum. It can also sometimes have a visar, which will make it bah in pronunciation. So, for an example, when we say bum is bear, bear means differences between two, or hatred or dislike for somebody. So here, this particular Bij mantra will remove that. It will remove the differences which are there within people which they hate. Or for example, the next word is bham. Bham, it's actually bha with a bindu on top. It makes it bham in pronunciation. Sometimes you will find ng pronunciation in the end, which means it will become bhang, according to, usually in North India they might do that, or there are some tantrics who also do that. And so that is the difference which comes in the pronunciation. Now in bham is for bhay meaning fear. So this is what will remove fear. So when you do the mantra, so in the same way, every particular alphabet akshar is got a particular meaning, and that meaning is that is what divides it into these kalas. So Brahma kalas are the ones which are involved in the creation. Vishnu kalas are the ones which are involved in maintenance. Rudra kalas are the ones which are involved in the destruction cycle. And then the vowels have their own different meanings, and same with the Ishwar kalas, which have a different meaning. There are only 4 of them anyway. So this is the basic for the akshar, the aksharma. Then in the mantras, there are some mantras which are very specific, which have only got akshar in them. For example, if you look at the Shri Vidya mantras where they have sakala, and then again there'll be a compound bij mantra. So this sort of thing is also there, where you have mantras which are only with the akshar, with akshar in them. But this is generally not the case. Generally, you have something from these akshars originate what is known as bij mantras. So here, this bij mantras, like I explained earlier, you have like im, or kam, kham, gum. And then again, like for example, if you take, say, let's take gum for example. Now, gum is the bij mantra for Ganesh, and if you take it, it can again be changed. It becomes changed by the change in the matra, which means the change with the vowel. So it will become gam, gim, gum, gam, gom, gah, so on. So this is again 6 different differentiations which will come in this. So each one of them again has a different meaning, and again effect. So this effect again is further studied. This has been studied in detail. So that's why when people talk about mantra or something else, we usually say this is a science. Of course, we don't mean a physical science or a material science. We mean a subtle science. But one has to appreciate the amount of hard work that went into this to study this, because each pronunciation, it gives a certain kind of vibration and it creates a certain effect. So imagine the effort that went into studying the effect of this at a subtle level. Imagine the subtlety of the mind of these people who were able to study this and do this. Then what happens is that these bij mantras which are there, one of the interesting things about Sanskrit is, for example, if we take the word her, which is the Maya bij, we use the word Reem or Hinkar, which is the Maya bij. Now, if we take her, then here it is her, Re, and E and Ma at the end of it. But the thing is that there's only one alphabet in this, one akshar in this, which is full, which is her. The R is half, the E is a matra only, so it is not counted. The M is a bindu, so it's actually half only, half of M. So that's why only Reem will be considered as one akshar only. It is not. So it's a compound thing. It's all the things coming together. So normally when we speak of Shakti Tantra ways or Shakti Bij, We have 5 Shakti beads. One of them is Aimkar, which is Saraswati Bij mantra, then Hrimkar, which is Maya Bij mantra, then third is Shrimkar, which is the Lakshmi Bij mantra, then fourth is known as Klimkar, which is known as Krishna Bij mantra, and then there is a fifth, which is the Lunar Bij, Chandra Bij mantra, which is Sakar, you can say, or Saukar, or it has got a another variation which is there, which is how it is used in different places in the mantras. So each of these has a specific, like for example, the Saraswati Bij mantra will give a knowledge. The Maya Bij mantra is a nutritive mantra; it gives nutrition. The Lakshmi Bij mantra is a Bij mantra, which is, we call it Aishwarya Bij mantra. Aishwarya means that it gives you fame, it gives you glory. That is the function of that. The Klimkar Bij mantra, which is Krishna Bij mantra, is the Bij mantra which creates attractiveness in the person. Then again, the Lunar Bij mantra, there are certain variations of that also. So this is how these Bij mantras work. Furthermore, later on, what happens, then there are certain mantras where there's a pure combination of Bij mantras. For example, if you take the Bhuvaneshwari Vidya, there one will find that you have the Saraswati Bij mantra, then you have the Maya Bij mantra, and then third is the Lakshmi Bij mantra. So these 3 Bij mantra come together. Now, what happens is that when people are usually using these mantras, they don't always understand and fully appreciate what is going on with these mantras. For example, if we look at these 3 Bij mantras, it's like suppose we had to take, say, mango juice, guava juice, and kiwi juice, and try and mix the 3 together. So the mix, when you mix them together, they might have a flavor or a hint of each other. But eventually, the combination, when it stays together for some time, it will have a different flavor, a unique flavor of its own. So in the same way, the combination of these Bij mantras, it also creates a unique energy of its own. Now, depending on the use of the Bij mantra, this is a very interesting part. Actually, if somebody really can pick on and understand this, which I think 99.99999, maybe point some 0.000 or something, 1% barely understands this. But when the mantras are written, there is a set of mantras which I will come to a little later, where there's a combination of Sanskrit and Bij mantras together. So here what happens is that depending on the function of the mantra, the Bij mantras are changed. So suppose there is a segment for attraction, then the Bij mantras will go in a certain combination. On the other hand, if there's a certain this thing, when they are doing it for something like control, then again the Bij mantras, the combination will change. If they are doing the same thing for knowledge, then the combination of the Bij mantras will change. The order will change. Maybe 2 of them will get repeated and 1 will get removed and stuff like that. So this is the one of the things which changes it a lot. So in the same way, if you had to take juice of different fruits and try to mix them together, you would get different flavors every time you mix them in a certain order. Here, the order also matters. Because if you're mixing one, if you put one Bij mantra before and the second one comes later and the third comes finally, and then you're running the beyond that, you have the mantra ahead of that is the Sanskrit part of it. So when these mantras come together, then what happens is that the energy which is there, usually the third Bij mantra will be the one which will give the primary energy to that. So, and then the rest of the 2, they can also be interchanged. So there is a whole subtle science behind this, which is very difficult to explain actually, unless you can experience them. There are some things which can only be experienced. So I cannot share that exactly with you without going into very great detail, which is going to be way beyond the scope of this talk of ours. And then after that, you have pure mantras, which are Sanskrit Akshar only. So Gayatri, for example, or Mahamrityunjaya mantra, which are well-known mantras, are purely in Sanskrit, where there are no Bij mantras attached to them. But if they say the same Bij mantra, excuse me, like Mahamrityunjaya, for example, when there are some Bij mantras attached to it and it is changed, it becomes Myth Sanjeevani. So this Myth Sanjeevani Vidya becomes a different Vidya. Then again, these Bij mantras and Akshar is the one which I was talking about before. So here what is happening is that when you take a Bij mantra, you take 3-4 Bij mantras, and then in this you add the name of the Devi or the Devta. So it can have a same kind of effect. For example, and there is a mild change in the energy. For example, to give you an understanding of this, if we look at, these, we have two forms of Bhairav and Bhairavi, or we can say Kali and Mahakal. So Kali and Mahakal, usually sometimes they will add the chrome Bij mantra over there, and here they will add cream. So here is the feminine energy, there is the masculine energy, but they have this Bij mantra is nearly the same in both of them. But the energy which is being expressed, one is male and other is female. Now, how and why this takes place is a topic for debate by itself. It's a separate topic which will again take a long time to explain. And I don't think if somebody can, people can explain this very clearly, because I've asked some very good scholars of a high level, and I find that they were not really able to give me a pure answer on this. And then after this, then there are mantras which are made in all other languages apart from Sanskrit, which are not Bij mantras also. So Bij mantras are, I'd explained before earlier in one of the series that this is unstruck sound. It is nada. So this unstruck sound which is there is what the Bij mantras are, and then from this you have the origination of alphabets. These alphabets finally become a language. This language, which is Sanskrit initially, according to the Hindu system, and then you have further many languages which come up, which are in which languages there are other mantras which are known as Sabar mantras. So Sabar mantras, I had explained once before also that there are certain, I think we'll do a topic separately on this sometime later on. But I also find that these Sabar mantras, some languages work well with them, others don't work so well with them. I mean the European languages, not the Indian ones. Most of the Indian ones seem to work well with them. So these are the major, say, 7 kinds of mantras which are there. Maybe there are some questions which I can answer, but then there is more to this than what I've spoken right now.
So, Maharaj, there is one important aspect comes in, like when we see Mahabharata and Ramayana happening, in which different Rishi Munis are talking, like Dhaumya Rishi, Lomash Rishi, everyone gives prayers to Yudhishthira.
Yes.
So those prayers, are those mantras or?
Yes, I'm coming to that part little later.
Yeah.
We have certain other parts left. We have types of mantras, meaning Vedic, Puranic, and all that. And then again, to whom they are addressed to in the mantric texts.
Yes.
So what you're referring to are the mantric texts. Actually, we'll come to that shortly.
Mm-hmm.
But if there was any question in with part 2, what I just spoke, maybe somebody has a question, I can answer that, and then I can move forward.
Actually, the question which came out was that which mantra works for individually, for, like, one of the question was for improving mental focus. That was a question came out.
So I had already answered last year. Last time we had in fact done a special listing on personal vibration and all
That's
that.
Right. That's right.
So basically, like I said, no, suppose, okay, you have a vibration. Your vibration is of a specific kind. It's a nutritive vibration. But like you asked, you're a student and you want to study. So you want a different vibration. You want a vibration of intellectual vibration of Saraswati. So the Saraswati Bij mantra will be the one to do. I had explained this earlier. I don't remember. I don't know if I explained this on one of your shows or not. But usually what is happening is the Gayatri mantra, for example, is the mantra for Vidya. Then there is the Bij mantra of Saraswati Ainkar, which is for Vidya. Then there are certain combinations of something, Ainkar plus Saraswati Nama, for example, which is there. Then there are more complex mantras. There are a larger number of beads. Then there are some other things where the Saraswati and something else Nama, so on. So there are different variations. Now, what is happening is that whenever we do a particular mantra, basically to perfect that mantra, one has to repeat it 400,000 times for every akshar, at least. It's actually 400 plus, then there is Havan, Tarpan, Marjan, Brahman, Bhojan. So the total 10% each of that. So the total thing comes down to say 4 lakh and then 40,000 and then 4,000 and 440. So it will be a total of 4 lakh 40,000 something so on. So anyway, the point is that 4.5 lakh, broadly speaking, is the minimum number of jap that one must do, at least if you cannot do the rest of it, because the Brahman Bhojan and other stuff, doing all that may be a little difficult for people. Though doing Havan, Tarpan, Marjan is not so difficult, but it is difficult when it is a very, very large number which has to be done. Suppose it's say 40,000 Havan, 4,000 Tarpan, 400 Marjan and 40 Brahman Bhojan. This can be done. But suppose the number of mantras in that is not 1 but 10, for example, then all this goes up by 10 times. So then you have to feed 400 Brahmins, for example. So that's a very, it becomes a little difficult doing that Of course, there is a certain system how it was done earlier and how it can be done now also. But still, it is not something which falls in the normal scope of the normal lifestyle where we live. So therefore, we recommend that the person simply does japa. So basically, when you've done a 4.5 lakh, which is 450,000 japa, that means that the mantra now is perfected. Of course, like I said before, the mantra has to be taken from a guru and a lineage, because that is how the mantra will have consciousness. But this there's a story about the Bij mantra of Saraswati. Actually, it was I think Yagyavalk Rishi, if I'm not mistaken. He was not very smart, and his father was very very annoyed with him. He used to say that this I have this boy. He's so stupid. I try to teach him. He's no good. He cannot be taught anything. So he was kicked out of his house, and his father chased him away and said, "You are very stupid. I don't want such a stupid son." So anyway, he went and started living in a forest. There was a place where there was a beautiful waterfall, and near that in the forest, he made his kutia, started living there. There, while he was staying, one of the what you call aborigines is the bhil is the word actually in Hindi, but aborigines was out hunting, and he was hunting for a wild boar. So when he shot the boar, and the boar was started bleeding and running for his life. And when he went running, he came and hid in this person Yagmal's cottage. So while he was hiding there, he stayed silent over there. And then when this hunter came to see Yagyavalkya, because he was Rishi's son and he was from a poor family, so he hid. He did not want to say, where this boar was, because he knew he would kill him. So he had that compassion. So when he asked him, he says, the person who knows doesn't tell, the person who doesn't know won't tell some things. He gave him some crazy answer. So anyway, he said something like, जो जानता है वो बोलता नहीं है, जो बोलता है वो जानता नहीं है. The one who speaks doesn't know, the one who doesn't know speaks. The one who speaks doesn't know, that kind of thing. So this man who held his head and said, this man is stupid and crazy. So he simply left him and went away. Now this was a wild boar who was lying there, and after some time, when the hunter went away, he started moaning, and there was a sound which was coming continuously from him. And eventually the boar was hurt badly. I think he eventually, probably, maybe he died, or maybe he eventually crawled away somehow, but probably he died there. But this, out of fear, and because he was near his cottage, and this word it started, it got into his mind. So it was the Saraswati Bij one without the M ending, without the makar. And this sat in his mind, and then later on, while he was there, it continuously started vibrating in his mind. So they say that out of the many vibrations of this mantra, he became enlightened. This is a example which is given in the Puran, which one can, if one looks for it, one can find this. My own Guruji told me that he had done this about 10 million repetitions he had done for this Bij mantra, and by doing the repetition of the Saraswati Bij mantra, he had this phenomenal knowledge. Compared to him, we have no knowledge. He had this phenomenal knowledge on almost every topic, and he was able to explain this to people. He was able to speak on almost every topic to people, which was very astonishing. So this Bij mantra is the Bij mantra which a person who wants to improve their education should do. There are two different versions of this. One is the Saraswati Bij mantra. Then there is a Bij mantra for Vidya alone. The Bij mantra which is here, the Saraswati Bij mantra. This Bij mantra is a Bij mantra for Gyan. Gyan means that it will give you knowledge as well as enlightenment, whereas the other Bij mantra will give you knowledge, meaning material knowledge. So this is the differentiation. But this Saraswati Bij mantra, if somebody can receive an initiation for that, and then they can sit and do a continuous practice. Of course, like everything else, it takes time. So if you can start off by doing maybe some 40-50 rounds every day, I think it should take maybe about an hour maximum to do 60 rounds or something like that. And if you can keep on that for a few years, then certainly a large amount of knowledge will come to you. Of course, there are other versions where you can do one initial Bij mantra for 4.5 lakhs or 450,000. Then after that, you go on to doing a larger mantra, then a larger mantra. There are also some Saraswati stotras which are small. Also, incidentally, sometimes there is a They say in India that there are some certain forms of magic and black magic where they can tie your knowledge so that people who are there cannot use it for any purpose. So there are certain or there, like one can say, maybe some impediments come in certain ways in your mind because of certain reasons, and because of these impediments, the growth in the knowledge takes place slowly. So there are certain stotras which are there which work very fast to remove these impediments, and thereby make your mind really fast, and you're able to understand and absorb what is going on very, very fast. So there are practices for this which one has to do, which take time. This is all serious work. It takes time, but the effects are for real. They certainly happen. I have seen them happening with me also. Our Sri Vidya Mantra, for example, which I have been doing, which we had been doing, has an effect also of awakening your intelligence. Actually, this I had explained this earlier also, that they say that when you're a child, you have these neural pathways which form, and then they cannot be formed later on. But actually, when you start doing these spiritual practices, they can be reformed. And this is the reason why one finds that a lot of the people who are monks, they become incredibly, intelligent people, because their neural pathways are reformed and they are able to access knowledge much faster.
So one of the things which comes to the is from the audience question also, that when we, so I always tell them tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnasivya, that not only you test the guru has to test you more. It's both ways. So it's not about you selecting like you're selecting a college. In just like in any college, there is an entrance examination. Similarly, by the guru also, you are checked, and your patratva determines what you're qualified for. But in today's society, people don't like that. People think that nobody should judge them. But in the spiritual life, you are judged at every single day. Like you have gone through the diksha, and you know how how it's more difficult to get a diksha properly than to get a PhD. And so in the PhD also, you have to finish 10 plus 2 plus 4 plus 2, and then you are admitted there. And then you have some experience, then you're admitted there. Similarly, in the Diksha also, that is the process. So what is the ideal process to get a particular type of mantra?
So actually, when we are talking about this, qualification, whether a person is qualified or not, that becomes a rather confusing issue, because what are we qualifying him for is the issue. So the way I see things is that the Ganga or the river is flowing, and somebody wants to take a drink of water. He comes to the river doesn't refuse him that I will not give you water. Of course, he can only take that amount of water for which he has a vessel. The river is always giving. The river is not saying, don't take from me. So in the same way, the guru will not say, don't take from me. He is willing to give you. But the point is, are you ready to take take the stuff he is giving you? So the issue of qualification comes in more so with the student than the guru. People try to think that we can test the guru and so on and so forth. But this is a interesting topic which should be taken up separately. And I would really like to take this up actually, because people get confused with the personality of the person, and the individual. So each person has a personality. Now, for example, if you look at the political leaders in India, I don't know about US, but we have a lot of these political leaders who come from very humble backgrounds. And we have some of these political leaders who come from very good backgrounds and who are very rich. So when they come in front of you and the way they behave, their behavior is very sophisticated and they have a sophisticated behavior. Whereas on the other side, you have these people who have come from very humble background, and sometimes they can be rude, or sometimes they may not be, as well behaved as certain other people. So it can get confusing for a person, but maybe a person who is, maybe there are two people who are working practically at the same level, but their personalities are different. So basically, what I'm trying to point out is that just because somebody has a XYZ personality, what you can check is only the personality. You can't really check the depth of knowledge because you don't know how to do that. You yourself don't have that knowledge. So you can only check somebody's knowledge when you're a specialist in that field. When you're not a specialist in the field, there is no question of really being able to check the knowledge. You are just playing around with your own ego most of the time. Whenever any student thinks that he can test the master or the guru, he is generally playing around with his own ego. The other funny part is that I'll give you an example where I'll give you my own example where I went to one particular guru and he refused to give me a particular mantra. And the same thing when I went to another guru who gave me that particular mantra. So how is it that in one place I'm qualified, in another place I'm unqualified? So it also depends on the connection between the guru and the shishya. In one place the connection was not there. In the other place the connection was there, and so he was willing to give me the particular mantra which I could do. So that is also one of the issues. And eventually it's the guru, of course, he will also give grace. They say there are four kinds of grace. There is grace of the shastras, there is grace of the guru, there is grace of God, and there is grace of the self. So for progressing in the spiritual journey, there has to be all four of them. And grace of the self is also important. If you have been given a mantra, or you are having the chance, you have a chance where you can get the mantra, and then you don't do something, you don't do your practice. Say, like you are saying that they take the mantra and then they want to change it. So this is a senseless pursuit, because you've taken something and you've not been able to do it, you haven't been able to perfect it. So it becomes pretty pointless. So that is one of the issues over here. And as far as doing the practice is concerned, say that's what I was trying to explain, that on one side in the beginning you have the single beach mantra of Lakshmi. On the other side you have the mantra of this Gayatri, which is 24 Akshar mantra. 24 Akshar mantra means that one has to do almost about more than a crore of it. 1 crore means more than 10 million repetitions. One mala of the Gayatri mantra for a normal newbie who has not done sadhana will be about, it can be up to 15 minutes also, but it will be 10 to 12 minutes. In India, people who've been practicing for a long time, they can do it in 3 minutes and 2 minutes also. 2 minutes they can do, 2.5 minutes they can do one mala of Gayatri. Whereas a newbie will take about 10 minutes, 11 minutes, 12 minutes. So the point is that the reason why he's taking 10, 12 minutes is because his basic level of purification is not there. So as far as the qualification of the person is concerned, when the person comes to a guru to learn, he may be not qualified at all. But the point is that you have to give him the practices to make him qualified. So I don't know if I have spoken about this, but there is a practice called Arish Nivarana, which means that whatever is blocking you from moving forward, one has to start doing these practices, the practice for that. And once he starts doing the practices, all the sins which are there, or all the negative karma which is there, which is holding the person from going forward, starts moving away. How this is seen in life is, for example, you have two people. One of them may be very intelligent and very capable. The other person is maybe perhaps not as intelligent as him, and maybe even not so capable, but he is more successful in life, whereas the first person is not so successful. Of course, there may be personal qualities also, but normally one of the issues is that there are certain karmas which are there in the back which are not letting the person go forward. So there is a factor of good luck which we keep talking about in everywhere, and this good luck factor is missing with him. But the good luck factor is missing basically because he has all these negative karma and sins which are there, which are not letting him go forward. So when somebody starts a practice, there are certain practices which are given to him which help in removing these sins. There are certain practices which are given for pitras which don't let a person go forward. So the practice of the pitras which are there again helps in cleansing and purifying and making them go forward. The third set is that normally we give a Ganesh mantra so that the path is opens for the person, so that he can do the obstacles which are there are removed for him. So then the person the sadhaka has a chance, he or she have a chance to go forward. So this is one of the important aspects of the sadhana. So even if you're not capable, you can be made capable if you follow the practice, if you follow regularly. If you are jumping from one to the other to the third, it's not going to give you any fruit.
Very good point you actually mentioned over there on the Swamiji on the choice. One last question of this series is that when we look at the karma cycle, people are becoming more karma conscious, and it's good thing because we create more responsible society. So how does these mantras affect karmas of new, like you mentioned the word newbies, people who are just starting off? It will apply to most of the Americans actually, because the karma cycle is the most potent thing that we have. And how do these mantras burn that karma cycle?
So, what is karma? Karma is firstly the any deed you do. Any deed you do means divided into three parts. Something which you did material on the material level, something which you said, and something which you thought. So this is what it is. Then this karma has a result. When you did something, you got a result for that. When you do this continuously, you get a furthermore you get a you can say a sanskar, or it gives you a impression. It creates an impression which is a or an inclination which pushes forward all the time, and one continuously repeats that. Actually, if you look at the time where we are talking about the result is also broken into two parts. One is the result which is at the level of the karma itself. So suppose you did something and it gave you some money, for example. But on the other hand, you made something and that was the result of that. So there are one is the result of that at the level of the deed itself. Like suppose you start constructing a house, the house was made, and out of the fact that you constructed the house, you were able to enjoy it, or you receive money for that, or something else. And then again, one karma of trying to build a house will unleash a whole cycle of karma. Say, for example, you will order the cement, and you will order the bricks, and you will order all kinds of other materials, and you will order people to come and work for them, and you will order the doors and the windows. So it's a whole cycle of karma which is taking place from this one point where you started. So this is how karma is actually extremely complex. It's very difficult to understand, and it will need a few lectures separately, which is why I've been trying to actually avoid it in most cases. So here, once when we start doing the mantra, what is happening is that whatever deeds we have done, there is a storage of that happening. So this storage which takes place, this storage which is there, it is in the form of files, you can say, for the simple sake of for the sake of understanding. It's like a memory on a computer, you can say, where it is kept in a certain way. Now when you leave your body and you go forward into a next life, then this becomes like a zip file, and it gets compressed and goes into a smaller body which is called the causal body, and which is what carries it forward. It's not in the form in which it is now, which is in the subtle body. Now when you start doing the mantra will start boring. It's like bores in a hole into the net of the subtle body, and wherever these karmas are stored, it starts releasing them out. So now it has two parts, which I think I explained this before, or maybe I didn't explain to you. Is, for example, if you look at your memories and you remember, I'm giving an example. Suppose you look at two teachers who taught you. One teacher was very rude to you. The other teacher was also rude to you. The first teacher, when you think about him, you have a lot of anger. When you think about the other second teacher, for some reason, you don't have anger towards them. So, but then at that point in time, when he behaved badly with you, you had anger also. So in one case, what has happened is that there is a memory of the action and there is the emotion of it. So the emotion has been released where the memory has remained. So that is what is called burning of karmas. What happens is the emotion which is there, which releases. And once the emotion is released, there is nothing interfering with your system. Therefore, what is happening is that that karma is only like a memory. It's a burnt out karma, because you're not going to act on it. You have no reason to act on it because there is no emotion behind it. So when you start doing any spiritual practice, it's not just mantra. If you start doing pranayam, for example, or meditation for that matter, of course they all need a different explanation to make you understand how they work, which is a different matter, which is a different thing by itself. But once a person is doing the practice, that will start boring into the net of this subtle body, and it will start throwing out those negative emotions from the system. Once this negative emotion is removed from the system, then the memory is the only thing which remains, and that memory has got no power of its own because the emotion is gone. So it's just an experience which is there somewhere at the depth of your. It's like a mark on a stone without really having any power to change you. So therefore, it's burnt out, and therefore the karma is released from system. One of the other things which I should point out is that most Europeans and Americans, probably also the ones I've met at least, a lot of them seem to have a lot of spiritual energy of some kind. But the problem is that the way they live life, it is so highly indisciplined in many terms that it might look disciplined from the point of view of a material life, but on the karmic level, it's an indisciplined life, and because of that, they become they're not qualified. Sometimes when we get a person in India, he does not have the energy which a Westerner has. Often I find that a lot of people who are coming, some of the Indians also have a lot of energy. Not that they don't have, but often we get a lot of people who may not have energy. But in comparison, many of the Westerners will have higher energy, spiritual energy. But the problem is that the whole system inside is so badly messed up, and they're so indisciplined on many levels that it's a really big task to get them to clean up the system.
And it is a matter of pride also that we are Americans and we can do whatever we want. That's pride also is there. But anyway, it's just a 330 million people on the planet. The planet has 7.5 billion people. But thank you all for joining, and thank you, Maharaj, for coming on the show
Not
and
at all.
throwing some light on this important topic of different forms of mantra. And anyone who has any questions and further questions, I can see a lot of questions, but most of them are not relevant, and I don't want to ask them here. And last time we did go a little bit outside the topic, so this time we are not going there. So thank you all for joining, and do comment on the video and let me know your feedback. Namaste.
Yeah, sure.